Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, you are invited on a journey not only across history, but into the stillness of rest. This is a history sleep story, a gentle weaving of the past into dreams, crafted to soothe your mind and guide your body into calm. The story is titled The Opium Trade and the Fall of China's Greatest Empire. Though its history is filled with change and struggle, here it will unfold like a quiet river, steady and soft, carrying you peacefully toward sleep. Take this moment now to let go of the day. Whatever thoughts remain, conversations, lists, unfinished tasks, they no longer ask for your attention. You have stepped into a different kind of space, one where time moves more slowly. Allow yourself to notice your breath, the gentle rhythm of life within you. Inhale softly and exhale even more gently. With each breath, you are safe. With each breath, you are here. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a calm sea. The night sky stretches wide above you, painted in shades of indigo and violet, the first stars glimmering faintly in the darkness. The horizon is lined with the silhouettes of tall-masted ships, their sails furled, their lanterns glowing like golden fireflies against the night. The water reflects their light, rippling with slow silver patterns. A soft wind brushes against your skin, carrying the faint sense of salt, tar, and wood. You feel steady, anchored in this moment, surrounded by the hush of the sea. These ships are waiting for you, not of war or urgency, but of memory and time. They are the vessels that will carry us back to the early 1800s, to the days when the Qing dynasty ruled China, when the empire stretched vast and powerful, yet unknowingly stood on the edge of great change. But before we step into history, we linger here on the quiet shore, where the world is still and your body can relax more deeply. Take another breath, and with it, imagine the weight leaving your shoulders. Feel your body sinking gently into rest, as if gravity itself is a soft hand guiding you downward into comfort. Your arms, your legs, your chest all becoming heavy, calm, and warm. The sound of the sea continues around you, steady and endless, like the rhythm of your own breathing. Now, step gently onto the deck of one of the ships. The wooden planks are cool beneath your feet, smoothed by the passage of many sailors, many years. Lanterns sway above, casting warm, shifting light across the ropes and sails. The ship rocks lightly with the ocean's movement, a lullaby of wood and water. Above you, the sails begin to unfurl, catching the night wind. Slowly, the ship leans forward, gliding with a graceful ease. You feel the motion in your body, not unsettling, but soothing like the cradle of a rocking chair or the rhythm of a calm heartbeat. The journey begins. Around you, the sea stretches wide, vast and mysterious, but never threatening. The stars guide the way. Each sound becomes a comfort. The flap of sailcloth above, the groan of timbers, the quiet splash of water against the hull. You are safe upon this vessel, a traveler of imagination, carried forward not into chaos, but into gentle discovery. As we sail, the world of history begins to rise before us. The China of the Qing dynasty appears, vast and shimmering. Palaces with golden roofs gleam under the sun, while bustling markets hum with voices and footsteps. Tea is poured, silk is traded, scholars bend over scrolls and lamplight. The empire is old and proud, rooted in centuries of tradition. Yet beyond its borders, Britain's empire expands restlessly, seeking new wealth and power. Soon, the two will meet in a clash of commerce, culture, and politics, and the story of opium will thread its way through the heart of the empire. But we need not rush. Tonight, we approach this history slowly, as one might walk along a quiet garden path at dusk. Let your imagination move at that pace and hurried, steady like the ship beneath you. If your eyes grow heavy, let them close. If your body seeks stillness, let it rest. The story will hold you gently, continuing whether you listen closely or drift. Away into dreams, you may picture yourself walking along a harbor in southern China. The air is warm, filled with a sense of salt water, tea leaves, and spices. Merchants call out in calm voices, offering goods wrapped in silk or stored in wooden chests. The sails of ships rise like forests of canvas above the water, each vessel a bridge between worlds. Lanterns flicker as twilight falls, and somewhere in the distance, a flute plays a slow, mournful tune. This is the world into which we step, a world both vibrant and fragile, balanced between the richness of tradition and the storms of change. Pause for a breath. Let that image sink into Yutha Harbor, the music, the glow of lanterns. Let it calm your mind further, softening the edges of thought. This is not a history to memorize or study. It is a history to drift through like a dream. The facts, the stories, the moments, they are all threads woven into the fabric of your rest. As you breathe now, imagine that every exhale is a letting go. The muscles in your face soften. The tension in your chest loosens. The weight in your limbs grows heavier, more at ease. You are exactly where you need to be in this quiet space. In this gentle story, the ship sails on, and with it, your journey deepens. Ahead lies the Qing Empire, vast and luminous. We will walk through palaces and temples, through fields of poppies, and along rivers that glitter beneath the moon. We will hear the whispers of merchants, the prayers of scholars, the commands of emperors. We will see, slowly and softly, how the opium trade grew, and how even the strongest empire can bend beneath the weight of time. For now, simply rest in the knowledge that you are safe, guided, and cared for. Let the sea rock you, let the night embrace you, and let your breath carry you deeper into calm. The story is here, unfolding around you. You need do nothing more than listen or let yourself drift away into sleep. The sea fades behind you, its waves soft and distant, as the memory of another world begins to rise. Before you lies the vast coastline of southern China. The year sometime in the early 1800s. The Qing dynasty still holds its throne, proud and enduring, its banners fluttering above city walls. Its ancient traditions woven into every corner of life. This is not yet the China of turmoil and rebellion, nor yet the empire fractured by foreign powers. Instead, it is a land that still breathes with a rhythm centuries old. A place where beauty and ritual blend into everyday life. You arrive at the harbor first, and even from a distance, the sight carries a gentle awe. Wooden junks with curved red sails glide over the water, their reflections shimmering in the lantern-lit tide. The harbor stones are smooth beneath countless footsteps, worn down by years of merchants, farmers, scholars, and travelers crossing paths. Dock workers lift baskets of tea leaves from ships, their scent drifting through the air like soft perfume green, earthy, almost floral. Nearby, porcelain jars clink against one another as they are stacked carefully into carts, each painted with images of cranes, clouds, and flowing rivers. The sounds around you are neither hurried nor chaotic, but carry a calm rhythm. Vendors call out their wares, voices rising like low bird song. Children laugh as they chase each other along the edge of the quay. The distant ringing of a bell signals the hour, echoing softly across the tiled roofs. In every direction, life feels measured, not rushed. It is as though the entire city exists within a long exhale, stretching back through generations. From the harbor, narrow stone streets wind deeper into the city. The houses rise in rows, their walls of dark wood, their windows latticed with delicate carvings that allow light to slip through in patterned shadows. The roofs curve upward at their corners, shaped like the wings of birds about to take flight, and painted banners ripple faintly in the breeze. The air carries with it a blend of scents, sandalwood drifting from a temple altar, the sweetness of steamed rice, and the faint smoke of oil lamps burning in open doorways. Every step takes you further into a world that is ordered yet alive, crafted with quiet detail. Along the way, tea houses glow warmly, their doorways open to invite travelers inside. The gentle clink of porcelain cups rings out, followed by the sigh of hot water poured over dried leaves. Patrons lean close as they speak in hushed tones, the rhythm of their voices accompanied by the faint strains of a guqin, its notes soft and lingering. The music fills the air like water filling a still pond, each sound rippling outward before fading into silence. If you pause here, you notice how every movement, lifting a cup, bowing to a guest, pouring teas carried out with care, as though even the smallest act were a piece of art. Beyond the city, the land stretches open. Rice paddies shimmer like mirrors beneath the afternoon sky, their flooded fields reflecting drifting clouds. Farmers bend low in rows, straw hats shading their faces as they work quietly in the water, their movements unhurried, patient. Buffalo plod through the mud, strong and steady, their great dark eyes calm as the earth itself. From time to time, a breeze runs across the paddies, ruffling the water's surface so that it seems to tremble and sparkle. The rhythm here is timeless, planting, growing, harvesting, repeating in an endless cycle, just as it has been for centuries. As evening nears, you follow a path to the river. Its waters move slowly, gliding across the landscape like unfurled silk. Willow trees bend over the banks, their long branches dipping into the current, swaying gently as though combing the river's hair. Boats float downstream, their lanterns glowing amber against the darkening sky. On one boat, a fisherman repairs his net, humming softly to himself, his voice carrying faintly across the water. On another, a family shares supper, their laughter rising like sparks before fading into the cool air. The entire scene feels hushed, tender, touched by a serenity that invites you to linger. When you look upward, the first stars begin to appear. In Chinese tradition, the heavens are more than sky. They are a map of stories. Above you, the Milky Way stretches like a silver river, linking earth and heaven in a luminous arc. It is said to divide to lovers the cowherd and the weaver girl, who are permitted to meet only once a year across the span of stars. Families gather in courtyards to retell the story, children's eyes wide with wonder as they trace constellations with pointing fingers. The stars themselves remain unchanged, their patient light falling upon emperors and peasants alike, marking the passage of history in silence. The night air cools as you remain by the river. Lanterns drift across the water, their reflections swaying with the current, as though stars themselves had fallen to the earth. The sound of the river's murmur joins the faint chirp of crickets in the grass, a harmony so gentle it feels like a lullaby. The city is quiet now, doors closed, windows glowing faintly from within. Even the marketplace has dimmed, its stalls closed, its voices hushed. What remains is stillness, the kind of stillness that seems to hold all of life in a single breath. In this moment, it is easy to believe that this world will last forever. The Qing dynasty, in its grandeur, feels immovable, its traditions too deep to be washed away, its walls too strong to fall. Yet just beyond the calm, the tide of change waits. Foreign traders linger at the edges of the empire, pressing for entry. Strange cargo opium in its raw, intoxicating form, slowly into the ports, quietly weaving itself into the fabric of daily life. But for now, in this night, none of that is near. What surrounds you is only peace. You allow yourself to settle into the calm. Your breath slows to match the rhythm of the river. Your body feels heavy, as though the stone pathways and wooden beams and quiet waters have absorbed your weight, leaving you at ease. The city rests, and so do you. The stars above keep their watch. The river flows without hurry. And the ancient world of the Qing dynasty holds you gently, as though you too belong within its endless, steady flow. The sea is the first thing you hear, Its rhythm is steady, a slow wash of waves against stone, a sound that has greeted this harbor for centuries. As you drift closer, the view opens before you, a harbor in southern China during the Qing dynasty. Still proud and unbroken in the early years of the 1800s, lanterns sway in the evening breeze, their red light rippling across the tide. Ships with great curved sails junks as they are cauldressed in the water, their wooden hulls rocking gently. Each mast rises like a brushstroke against the horizon, strong and deliberate. Painted by the hand of time, the air here is full of scent. The salt of the sea clings to your skin, mingling with the fragrance of tea leaves, freshly unloaded from crates. That smell is sharp and earthy, touched with sweetness, as though the leaves themselves have trapped sunlight in their veins. There is sandalwood, tuberning softly at a shrine on the edge of the dockets, smoke curling upward like a prayer to the heavens. With each breath, the harbor fills you, grounding you in a world both busy and serene. The people move at their own rhythm, not rushed, not restless. Dockworkers strain with baskets balanced on their shoulders, their movements practiced and sure. Vendors lift their voices, calling to passersby about bolts of silk, jars of porcelain, or rolls of bamboo paper. The words are not harsh or hurried, but flowing. Like water in a channel, each sound carrying familiarity, tradition, belonging. Children dart between the stalls, their laughter echoing like wind chimes. Somewhere nearby, a bell rings to mark the hour, its tone deep and low, a reminder of the empire's long, steady pulse. Beyond the city walls, the world softens. The streets give way to dirt paths, and the sound of footsteps against stone becomes the rustle of grass. Rice paddies stretch across the land, shining beneath the open sky. Their waters are shallow mirrors, reflecting clouds that drift like silk banners overhead. Farmers move slowly between the rows, their straw hats shading their faces, their hands guiding each seed with patience born of centuries. Buffalo plod through the mud, their broad backs bent beneath wooden harnesses, their breath rising in faint clouds. The air here is different, sweeter, touched by earth and water. The scent of soil mixes with the faint fragrance of blossoms carried on the wind. You can hear the low hum of insects, the call of distant birds, the steady swish of water as farmers shift it from one paddy to the next. There is no rush here, only rhythm, the endless cycle of planting and harvest that sustains a people and a dynasty. A narrow path leads you further, until you reach the river. Wide and slow, it winds across the countryside like a silver ribbon, its surface shimmering with the last light of the sun. Willow trees lean over its banks, their branches trailing in the current, swaying like green silk. On the water, small boats float, their lanterns glowing softly, each light mirrored in the ripples below. A fisherman mends his net, humming a tune that drifts lazily across the water. On another boat, a family gathers for supper, their voices gentle, their laughter faint as if meant only for themselves. The river is more than water. It is life itself. It carries grain, timber, and people across vast distances. It links villages to cities, fields to markets, the quiet countryside to the restless coast. Yet here, in this moment, the river is simply its movement, slow, its voice low and constant. You pause by its edge, listening, letting its rhythm match your breath. In and out, flowing, steady, calm. As twilight deepens, the countryside folds itself into stillness. The paddies gleam faintly under the rising moon. Crickets sing their nighttime chorus, joined by the soft croak of frogs. Lanterns glow in distant farmhouses, small stars scattered across the darkening fields. The river keeps moving, its current steady, its song unbroken. And you, standing here at its edge, feel yourself part of its flowing, patient, timeless. You walk deeper into the city, following stone-paved streets that gleam faintly in the lantern light. Houses line the way, built of dark, polished wood. Their windows latticed with delicate carvings that scatter the glow of candles inside. The roofs rise upward in sweeping arcs, their corners shaped like wings poised for flight. Banners ripple across doorways, painted with blessings for prosperity and longevity. Every surface, every carving, every line of architecture speaks of a people rooted in balance between earth and sky. Work and rest, family and duty. Along the street, you pass tea houses, their doors open wide. The clink of porcelain cups drifts out, mingled with the soft murmur of conversation. Steam rises from tables where teapots rest, releasing the scent of oolong and jasmine. Inside, men and women sit in quiet companionship, their movements careful, respectful. A musician plucks the strings of a guqin, each note long and lingering, fading into the air like ripples across water. The music does not demand attention. It soothes, it settles, it reminds the listener that life, like sound, is fleeting and gentle. The city at night is alive, but never loud. A temple bell tolls in the distance, echoing across tiled rooftops. Oil lamps glow along the road, their flames trembling in the wind. Here and there, a scholar passes by, scrolls tucked beneath his arm, his robes rustling softly with each step. Somewhere behind a wooden gate, a family shares their meal. The scent of rice and broth escaping through the cracks, mingling with the cool night air. The rhythm of life continues, steady and unbroken, as though the empire itself breathes through these narrow streets. And as you move, you feel the calm of it, the steadiness that holds everything together. You are carried forward, not by urgency, but by flow. The harbor rests, the city lives, and in its quiet endurance, you begin to rest as well. As night falls fully, the world above comes alive. The sky reveals its endless map of stars, scattered across the darkness in shining patterns. The Milky Way stretches overhead like a silver river, mirroring the water below. To the people of this land, these stars are not distant fires, but stories, legends passed from parent to child. Among them is the tale of the cowherd and the weaver girl. Two lovers separated by the celestial river, allowed to meet only once a year. Families gather in their courtyards to share the story. Children's eyes wide as they trace the shapes of constellations. Their voices soft beneath the night. You lie back on the grass. The earth cool beneath you and gaze upward. The stars shine without hurry, patient as they have always been. They witness the rise of this dynasty, and they will watch its trials still to come. For now, though, they offer only light, gentle, constant. A reminder that time flows on like a river, unbroken, eternal dot around you. The night has grown quiet. The city rests behind its walls. The countryside lies hushed, its fields silvered by moonlight. The river continues its slow journey, carrying lanterns that drift like fallen stars upon its surface. The world is wrapped in stillness, a vast and tender silence that holds you close. And within that silence, you sense the strength of this empire not in its armies or palaces, but in its rhythms. The harbor, the streets, the paddies, the river, the sky all flow together, steady and sure. Yet somewhere beyond this calm, change gathers like a distant storm. Traders wait at the edges of the empire, their ships heavy with strange cargo. Opium, bitter and dangerous, begins to move in shadows. The dynasty does not yet see the weight it carries, but in time, the calm will shift, for now. Though this night belongs only to peace. The stars keep watch, the river sings softly, and the land breathes in its own eternal rhythm. You, too, can rest within it. Let your breath match the flow of the river. Let your thoughts drift like lanterns upon the current. Let the silence of the sky settle over you, calm and unbroken. Here, in this moment, the world holds you gently, and you are safe. You step onto the ancient harbor stones, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, tides, and winds. Beneath your feet, the stone is cool, holding the memory of the day's warmth but surrendering it slowly to the night. The harbor stretches wide before you, an embrace of water and sky. Lanterns trembling along the wooden piers like a string of softly glowing stars brought down to earth. Their flames flicker and bow with every whisper of wind, painting the dark water with shivering ribbons of gold. The tide moves gently, lapping against the beams of the docks, its rhythm as steady as breath. Each wave curls forward and retreats with a soft sigh, like the ocean itself is in a slow, peaceful slumber. The air is thick with familiar scents. The salt of the sea, sharp and clean, mixed with pine tar brushed carefully along the hulls of ships. There is a faint trace of smoke as well, drifting in from hearth fires scattered through the city behind you. A reminder that even in the hush of night, homes are alive with quiet warmth. At your side walks Alaric, the young scribe, his robes brushing lightly against the stones. In his arms, he carries a bundle of scrolls, wrapped in silk cord to protect them from the night air. The scrolls are the way to the day lists of merchants, records of trade, tallies of rice, silk, and porcelain. His duty is meticulous, yet his steps are unhurried, his pace steady, as though he has long ago learned the balance between diligence and calm. The scrolls do not only hold numbers, they carry memory, preserving what might otherwise slip away with the tide. The harbor, though quieter than the day, is not empty. A fisherman hums to himself as he gathers his net, folding it with hands so practiced that every movement seems a kind of ritual. The hum is low, almost lost in the hush of water, yet it blends with the night as though the song itself was born from the sea. A little farther down, a boat creaks against its moorings, its wooden ribs shifting as though sighing after a long journey. Beyond the breakwater, larger ships rest in shadow, their masts rising like blackened branches against the starlit sky. Some of those ships are foreign-tail, masted, vessels with sails like pale wings folded close. They come from far horizons, carrying silver, curiosities, and goods whose names are spoken with both curiosity and unease. Their presence is felt more than seen, looming shapes beyond the lantern's reach. Alaric glances toward them, his expression unreadable in the dim light. His voice, when he speaks, is quiet. Change, he reminds you, always drifts in with the tide. Still, when his eyes return to the warehouses behind you, solid, immovable, filled with the scent of tea leaves, his shoulders ease. The city has withstood many tides before. You take in the stillness more deeply, letting the harbor's night rhythm settle into you. Every detail feels softened, muted. The gentle clink of a chain drawn slowly through a pulley, the faint slap of a rope against a mast, the sigh of parchment as Alaric shifts his bundle of scrolls. The harbor does not hurry. It breathes, and in its breathing you to find a rhythm. Slower, more even, as though the world itself were teaching you how to rest. A lantern sways at the end of the pier, its glow casting a golden path over the dark water. You follow its light for a while, your gaze sinking into the way the reflection stretches and trembles with each ripple. The harbor seems endless in this view, the boundary between water and sky blurred by shadow. Alaric pauses beside you, resting the scrolls against his hip, and for a moment he, too, simply gazes outward. His work is precise, his life disciplined. But here, in the quiet of the night harbor, he allows himself stillness. He breathes deeply, as you do, and for that moment you are simply two companions standing by the edge of the sea. Somewhere in the distance, a gull calls once, sharp against the softness, then falls silent. Its cry does not disturb the peace, but seems to fold into it, like a single brushstroke upon a canvas too vast to ever be finished. The stars above scatter their light into the water below, so that when you look down, you feel as though you are gazing not at the sea, but into the heavens themselves. Stirred gently by the tide, Alaric finally adjusts his scrolls and turns toward the path that leads deeper into the city. Yet he does not urge you onward. He waits, as if knowing that the harbor has more to offer if you simply stand and listen a little longer. You close your eyes briefly, hearing the water, the faint humming of the fishermen, the rustle of Alaric's robes in the breeze. In this harbor, the world is both vast and tender. A place where silence is not emptiness, but fullness, holding within it all the voices of the sea, the city, and time itself. When you open your eyes, the lanterns are still swaying, the ships still rocking gently, the tide still breathing its quiet breath. Nothing has hurried. Nothing has changed. And yet you feel as though the harbor has given you something not written in Alaric scrolls, yet as enduring as ink upon parchment. The gift of stillness, the gift of night. Leaving the harbor, you follow Alaric along a wide stone path that curves gently into the city. The rhythm of the sea lingers behind you, but ahead the night opens to a softer music, low voices, the murmur of trade winding down, the quiet clatter of wooden shutters closing one by one. The marketplace lies before you, not in the clamor of daylight, but in the gentler, hushed cadence of evening. By day, this square is alive with shouting vendors, bargaining voices, the scent of spices rising in warm gusts, and the shuffle of countless feet. But now, under lantern glow, it feels transformed. The stalls lean close together, roofs of faded cloth pulled down low. Lanterns hang from poles, each light swaying like a firefly caught in the evening air. Their glow casts the cobblestones in honey-colored pools, while the rest of the market drifts in shadow. A place of whispers and slowing steps. Alaric pauses, adjusting the silk cord around his bundle of scrolls. He gestures with his chin toward the vendors still awake, those who linger with the patience of night owls. Their goods laid neatly for any who wander through at this hour. He does not hurry you, and you find yourself drifting beside him, listening to the subdued rhythm of the market's heart. A tea seller stands behind a polished counter, pouring steaming water from a clay pot into tiny porcelain cups. The aroma curls into the air-green leaves, earthy and sweet, mingled with the faint sharpness of dried jasmine. You watch the steam rise, its tendrils glowing in the lantern light like pale threads of silk. The vendor moves with slow care, hands steady from years of repetition, and when he speaks, his voice is little more than a murmur. A merchant nods in return, sipping silently, and in this exchange there is no need for words. The market at night does not demand. It simply offers. Farther along, a woman rolls bolts of fabric back into neat bundles. The cloth slips through her hands with a faint rustle, crimson silk catching the lamplight like liquid flame. She folds it carefully, smoothing each corner with the flat of her palm before tucking it away into a wooden chest. Her motions are so graceful they seem part of a ritual, a closing prayer whispered to the day. Alaric watches her for a moment, his gaze thoughtful. The scribes record numbers and accounts, but here he admits softly one sees the true texture of a city's life, stitched together not only by trade, but by care, patience, and countless quiet hands. The scent of the market deepens as you walk. Dried orange peel, medicinal herbs, pepper, and star anise lie bundled in baskets, filling the air with fragrance even in the fading hours. A butcher's stall has long since closed, but the wooden boards still hold the faint trace of spice and broth from earlier meals. Smoke drifts from a small brazier where a vendor keeps chestnuts warm, their shells splitting slightly to release a sweet, nutty aroma. The warmth of the fire draws you closer for a moment, and you feel the comfort of it against the cool night air. Children dart between the shadows, their laughter quick but hushed, as though even their play respects the night's gentler mood. They chase each other between stalls, weaving in and out of lantern light like sparks before vanishing again into shadow. A mother calls them softly, her tone not stern but guiding, drawing them back to her side. Even in play, the marketplace at dusk carries a softness, a rhythm that flows without force, Alaric leads you toward the square center, where a stone well stands surrounded by carved dragons whose scales have been smoothed by countless hands drawing water. Tonight, the well is quiet. Only one man waits, lowering a wooden bucket with slow, deliberate care. You hear the faint splash as it touches the water below. The rope groaning faintly in the pulley, the bucket rising heavy in his hands. He lifts it without complaint, as though the task were not burdened, but rhythm. One more note in the evening's steady song as you stand beside the well. Alaric adjusts his scrolls again, the parchment rustling gently against silk cords. He glances at you, and then at the market around you. The city does not sleep, he says softly. It only shifts its voice. His words linger, and as you listen, you understand what he means. By day, the market is loud, insistent, alive with trade and argument. But by night, it speaks differently in size, in murmurs, in the gentle scrape of shutters being drawn closed. The silence here is not empty, but full, like a page between lines of ink. You continue walking together, weaving through narrow lanes where smaller stalls lean shoulder to shoulder. The lanterns here are fewer, their flames dimmer, yet the shadows feel friendly, folding around you like a cloak. Alaric's robe brushes softly against the cobblestones as he moves, his steps unhurried. He is not guiding you to a single place, but inviting you to walk, to see, to breathe in the life of the market even as it rests. At the edge of the square, a storyteller sits cross-legged, his voice carrying low but steady as he recites an old tale to a small cluster of listeners. His words weave through the night air like threads of silk, each syllable deliberate, each pause meaningful. Children lean against their parents, their eyes wide though heavy with sleep. And the story seems less about the tale itself than about the rhythm of listening together. Alaric lingers for a moment at the edge, his head tilted as though memorizing the cadence for his own scrolls, though you suspect he already knows this story well. Finally, as the path bends away from the marketplace, you look back once more. The lantern still glows softly. The stalls close slowly, the voices dim but steady. The market at dusk is not a place of endings, but of gentle transitions, where the rush of day gives way to the breath of night. You walk on, carrying with you the warmth of tea steam, the scent of silk and spice, and the hush of voices soft as waves upon stone. Leaving the market behind, you and Alaric step into a quieter avenue that winds upward toward the heart of the city. The stones here are smoother, more carefully laid, and the air carries a faint coolness as the streets climb toward the palace quarter. Behind you, the lantern-lit market fades into a golden haze, its murmurs dissolving into memory. Ahead, the path is marked by taller gates and walls, their shadows deep under the rising moon. Alaric walks with measured steps, the scrolls bound at his side, his gaze forward, yet softened by thought. By day, he whispers, these gates are crowded with courtiers, soldiers, and officials. But at night, the palace breathes differently. It exhales. His words settle into you like a rhythm, steadying your own breath as the quiet of the district begins to wrap itself around your senses. The avenue widens into a ceremonial road lined with stone lions. Their shapes are immense, yet graceful, their faces worn smooth from centuries of wind and rain. Each one guards the way with silent presence, their shadows stretching long under lantern poles mounted along the walls. Between the lions, small shrines glow faintly, candles flickering before bowls of incense that still smolder, their fragrance drifting upwards sandalwood, sweet and faint, laced with the sharp tang of resin. The smoke curls into the night air, tracing invisible prayers toward the sky. Alaric pauses at one shrine, bowing his head briefly before moving on. His voice is little more than a murmur. The city's strength lies not only in walls and armies, but in these small offerings, these gestures of remembrance. You sense the truth in his words as the fragrance lingers, soothing, meditative, reminding you that every empire is built not only on power, but on countless quiet rituals. Two guards stand before a tall wooden gate. Their spears crossed lightly, not in hostility, but in quiet duty. Their armor glints dully in the moonlight, and though their faces are stern, their eyes are calm, reflecting the stillness of their post. As you and Alaric draw near, one tilts his head in recognition, the gesture respectful, acknowledging the scribe's passage. The gate swings open on heavy hinges, its sound deep and steady, echoing softly through the night. Beyond the gate, the palace quarter spreads like a hidden world. Courtyards open one after another, paved with polished stone, their edges marked by carved balustrades and arching bridges that curve over narrow streams. The water reflects the moon, each ripple carrying light across the courtyards like silver threads woven into dark silk. Lanterns float upon the streams, their flames steady, their reflections shimmering gently on the surface below. You walk slowly, guided by Alaric's calm pace. The air here feels cooler, tinged with the freshness of gardens tended with patience. Plum trees stand in careful rows, their branches twisting elegantly, while bamboo sways faintly in the night breeze, its leaves whispering against one another. From somewhere deeper in the quarter, the faint tones of a guqin reach your ears, each note plucked with delicate precision, rising and falling like drops of water falling into a pool. The music is not meant for performance, it drifts, unhurried, as though the palace itself were dreaming. Alaric leads you to the edge of a courtyard, where a reflecting pool lies perfectly still. The surface mirrors the moon so clearly it seems like a second sky lies beneath the earth. Lotus blossoms rest upon the water, their petals half closed for the night, their fragrance light and soothing. You stand with him for a long moment, listening to the faint sound of the guqin and the whisper of bamboo, your breath slowing as though the world itself has paused to listen. At the far side of the courtyard, a group of monks in saffron robes carry lanterns, as they move in a slow procession toward a small temple built into the palace walls. Their steps are deliberate, each footfall silent upon the stone, their voices low as they chant a prayer that flows like a river beneath the night. The sound is deep, resonant, carried on the air like the hum of the earth itself. You feel it vibrate softly in your chest, steadying your heartbeat, drawing you further into calm. Alaric bows his head as the monks pass, his expression serene. In these halls, he murmurs, the empire remembers that it is not only stone and power, but spirit. The walls may fall one day, but the song of prayer lingers beyond the ruin. His words echo the chant, weaving into the night, guiding you into reflection. The path turns again, bringing you to a long colonnade where tall pillars rise like trees of marble, their surfaces carved with dragons winding upward in endless spirals. The pillars catch the moonlight, casting shadows across the polished floor. And as you walk beneath them, you feel as though you are moving through a forest, not of wood, but of stone and silence. Each step resounds faintly, the sound softened by the sheer breadth of the space. Beyond the colonnade lies a garden reserved for scholars and scribes. Low tables rest beneath pavilions, brushes and inkstones carefully set aside after the day's work. The faint scent of ink still lingers, mingled with the smell of paper and wood. Alaric pauses here, his hand brushing lightly against a table as though remembering the hours spent hunched over parchment, recording names and events that will one day outlast even the strongest walls. His eyes soften as he looks at you. Every line of ink, he says, is a thread that ties us to tomorrow. And yet, he lets the sentence fade, the silence completing it more eloquently than words could. Together, you sit for a moment in the pavilion, gazing out across the garden. The lanterns flicker softly, the moonlight rests upon the still water, and the chant of monks continues faint in the distance. The palace at night is not loud nor restless. It is contemplative, vast yet intimate, a place where silence is weighty but gentle, cradling you as though it were a blanket of soundless time. And so, under the moon's gaze, surrounded by stone lions, bamboo whispers, and lantern-lit streams, you remain with Alaric, letting the stillness of the palace quarter fold around you. It is not only a place of power, but of quiet and empire, not only of rulers and laws, but of silence, reflection, and the steady passage of night. From the scholar's pavilion, Alaric rises once more, his movements unhurried, as though the night itself were guiding his pace. "Come," he whispers, his voice softer than the rustle of bamboo leaves. "There is one more place to see before the city yields fully to dreams." You follow him along a path of polished stone that curves like a ribbon into the palace garden's dot. Here, the air changes again. It is cooler, gentler, infused with the fragrance of blossoms that open only at night. The garden stretches wide, with winding streams, arching bridges, and trees placed with deliberate care, each one offering shade by day and shadow by night. Lanterns hang from wooden posts, their flames swaying faintly in the breeze. But much of the garden is lit only by moonlight and stars. The darkness is not heavy. It feels instead like a soft veil, embracing every stone, every leaf, every ripple of water. Alaric leads you past a row of tall cypress trees, their forms like watchful sentinels. Beyond them lies an open lawn where the night sky seems to unfold without boundary. The stars shimmer with startling clarity, thousands of points of silver light scattered across a canvas of deep indigo. The moon lingers high, steady and luminous, its glow laying a path across the garden ponds. The reflection is so clear, it seems another sky lies below your feet. A secret mirror world, still and eternal. You pause with Alaric at the edge of one such pond. Lotus blossoms drift across its surface, their white petals almost glowing under the moonlight. Koi swims slowly beneath, their movements sending ripples outward, fracturing the reflections of stars. The fragrance of the blossoms is sweet, calming, mingled with the earthy scent of damp stone and still water. The silence here is alive. Not empty, it carries the weight of centuries. The breath of every gardener, poet, and scribe who once stood where you now stand. Alaric kneels, dipping his hand into the pond, letting the water run between his fingers. "The emperors of old believed the garden reflected the order of the heavens," he murmurs. "Every tree, every stone, placed to echo the stars above. To walk here was to walk among the constellations, as though heaven had descended to earth." You look up again, and for a moment it feels true. The sweep of the Milky Way above you seems to match the winding stream below, both infinite, both serene. From somewhere deeper in the garden, you hear the faint step of a night patrol. The sound is distant, softened by the stillness of the air, the faint jingle of armor, the muted thud of sandals upon stone. The guards do not intrude, they move as shadows themselves, preserving the peace of the place. Their presence reassures you, reminding you that even in the vast silence, the garden is watched, safe. Cradled in quiet vigilance, Alaric begins to walk again, leading you along a narrow bridge that arches over a stream. Beneath, the water flows slowly, catching the light of stars. On the far side, the garden opens into a small hillock where a stone observatory rises. Its circular platform is simple, yet enduring, with low walls carved with celestial symbols, dragons curling around stars, phoenixes rising toward the moon. Here, scholars once gathered to chart the heavens, to align calendars, to seek patterns in the endless sky. You and Alaric ascend the steps, each one cool under your feet. At the top, the view stretches wide gardens, courtyards, and beyond them, the dark outline of the city walls. But it is the heavens above that command your gaze. The stars shimmer endlessly, each one a story, each one a secret. The moonlight lays silver across Alaric's features, softening the lines of thought upon his brow. He lifts his hand toward the sky. "That cluster," he whispers, pointing the northern dipper, "guides sailors at sea, merchants along the road, and their Orion's belt, steady above every empire, long before ours and long after." His voice drifts lower, each word slower, quieter, as though the sky itself demanded reverence. Every ruler believes their walls will last forever. Yet the stars remind us otherwise. They outlast even the greatest stone. But for tonight's night, they shine for us. A breeze stirs, rustling the leaves, carrying the scent of night-blooming jasmine. Somewhere, a night bird calls a low, soothing note that echoes across the stillness. The sound blends with the faint trickle of water in the streams below, a natural lullaby that wraps itself around you. Alaric sits upon the stone wall of the observatory, gazing upward, his voice now softer still. The garden is a world unto itself, a place to forget the weight of duty, a place where ink and parchment, war and trade, even empires all dissolve into stars and silence. His words settle into you like stones sinking gently into water, each syllable a ripple drawing you deeper into calm. You sit beside him, the cool stone beneath you grounding, the heavens above infinite. For a long time, neither of you speak. There is no need. The night carries the conversation, now the murmur of water, the hush of leaves, the distant footfalls of guards fading into nothing. The stars shine steadily, the moonlight glows, and the garden holds you in its embrace. Here, time loosens its grip. The weight of history softens into dreamlike reflection. The palace garden, vast and ordered, becomes a bridge between earth and sky, between the fleeting and the eternal. And as you breathe slowly, deeply, your body relaxes, lulled by the rhythm of silence, by the endless comfort of the stars. You rise slowly from the pavilion where you and Alaric had been watching the stars. The air carries a softness now, cooler and calmer, as though the night itself has grown more intimate. The palace around you is hushed, the chatter of the day long gone. And in its place there is only the faint rustling of robes in the evening breeze and the distant call of a night bird, hidden among the tiled roofs. You followed the winding path of stone beneath your feet, and soon you enter one of the great palace courtyards. The space stretches wide, enclosed by tall walls and sweeping eaves that curve like the wings of cranes. Yet the courtyard does not feel empty. It glows with the golden warmth of lanterns, hundreds of them, hanging from carved beams and wooden poles. Their light is gentle, not sharp, casting pools of amber on the smooth paving stones, and long shadows that sway like slow-moving water whenever the wind brushes past. You pause to take in the sight. Each lantern is painted delicately, with brushstrokes that tell tiny stories. Dragons rising through clouds, peonies opening in bloom, waves rolling into shore. To stand among them is to step inside a living gallery of silk and light. Alaric's voice is soft beside you as he explains that lanterns were once more than decoration. They were symbols of fortune, of protection, and of rank. In some dynasties, the number and style of lanterns a household could display was tightly regulated, a subtle reminder of order, even in beauty, as you walk further into the courtyard. The smooth stone beneath your sandals is cool with the memory of the day. You imagine that during festivals, this place would have been alive with music. Dancers swirling like ribbons, and children chasing shadows between the glowing lanterns. But tonight, there is no noise, no laughter. Only silence, punctuated by the flicker of flame. The air here is tinged with the faintest scent of oil and smoke, though softened by the fragrance of night-blooming jasmine that grows along the edges of the courtyard. The blossoms open only in darkness, releasing their perfume as though they too belong to the world of lanterns and shadows rather than the brightness of day. You draw in a slow breath, and with it, the mixture of flower, flame, An ancient wood seems to calm every corner of your mind. Your footsteps echo softly as you move across the expanse. Alaric gestures toward the central lantern larger than the rest, suspended from a carved wooden frame. Its silk covering has been painted with the figure of a phoenix, wings spread wide, tail feathers curling into spirals of flame. The phoenix was once a symbol of empresses, a sign of rebirth, balance, and harmony. In the quiet of the night, the bird seems almost alive, as if the soft breath of the wind might coax it to take flight. Anecdotes drift in with the night air. Alaric explains how emperors would walk these courtyards at dusk, each lantern lit in careful sequence by servants. Lighting them was not merely practical light, was ceremonial, a way of turning darkness into order, of taming the unknown night. In times of celebration, vast lantern displays stretched across bridges and marketplaces, where ordinary people too could admire their glow. Even in moments of unrest, when armies pressed against the empire's borders, the light of lanterns within the palace was kept steady, to assure all who gazed upon them that order still prevailed. You picture this courtyard centuries ago, alive with figures in silk robes, the murmurs of conversation carried on the wind, the laughter of scholars debating poetry under the glow of lanterns. You imagine children craning their necks to watch as each lantern was lit, one by one, until the entire courtyard shimmered like a reflection of the heavens. And you realize that though voices and faces have long faded, the lanterns remain as quiet witnesses to it all, as you continue walking. You feel the rhythm of your steps slow, the quiet patterns of light guiding you deeper into calm. Above, the stars glitter faintly, though their shine is softened by the golden glow below. The courtyard becomes a threshold, a gentle, in-between place, half of earth. Half of skyware history lingers in silence, and your mind begins to settle into its own stillness. Alaric walks beside you without hurry. He does not speak often, and yet his presence is steady, reassuring. You notice how his robes catch the glow of the lanterns, folds of deep blue silk glimmering as if brushed with moonlight. Together, you move toward the far end of the courtyard, where a wooden gate waits half open, leading onward to another part of the palace. Behind you, the lanterns continue to flicker, their painted images shifting softly in the night air. Ahead, the path grows darker, promising new discoveries. But for now, you stand at the threshold, breathing deeply, feeling the lantern-lit courtyard settle into memory. Its quiet glow stays with you, like a gentle flame that burns without urgency, steady, calm, eternal. You step beyond the lantern-lit courtyard, guided by Alaric into the hush of the palace's inner temple halls. The wooden gate creaks softly as it swings open, and you cross into a space that feels immediately different, more enclosed, more sacred. The air grows cooler here, thick with the scent of old incense clinging to carved beams, as though centuries of prayers have left their presence. Suspended in the air itself, the path carries you forward into a vast hall supported by towering pillars, each one painted in faded reds and greens, their lacquer worn smooth by time and touch. The dim glow of oil lamps flickers across their surfaces, revealing dragons coiled among clouds, phoenixes rising in arcs of flame, and tigers prowling in watchful silence. These animals, more than decorations, were guardian symbols of balance, of power, of the eternal cycle between heaven and earth. As you step further inside, your sandals meet polished stone floors that seem to echo every motion. The sound does not disturb the silence, but rather joins it, each footfall fading gently into the vaulted ceiling. Alaric whispers that halls like these were once the heart of the empire's spiritual life, places where emperors sought guidance not only from advisors and generals, but from the heavens themselves. Each carved panel, each painted wall, each hanging bell was part of a language, rituals, and symbols that reminded rulers of the vast order of the cosmos and their fragile place within it. You pass along a corridor lined with bronze incense burners. Their surfaces green with age, yet still glinting faintly in the low light. Some are shaped like cranes, wings folded neatly at their sides, others like lotus blossoms opening into flame. Though no incense burns tonight, the faint residue of sandalwood lingers, sweet and smoky, a ghost of ceremonies long past. You imagine priests moving quietly through this hall centuries ago, their robes whispering across the stone. Voices rising in chants that blended with the steady ringing of gongs. Your gaze is drawn upward to the ceiling, painted in deep blues and scattered with golden stars. The paint has faded, yet its effect remains a night sky brought indoors. A reminder that the temple was meant not merely as a shelter, but as a bridge, uniting earth and heaven. Alaric's voice is quiet, explaining how emperors would walk beneath these painted skies during festivals, carrying offerings in silence. Each step they took echoed not just within these walls, but symbolically across the empire, a ritual to ensure harmony between the people, the land and the heavens above as you linger. A breeze drifts softly through the open lattice windows, carrying with it the distant murmur of crickets and the faint rustle of trees outside. The hall is not entirely silent. It breathes, it shifts, it remembers. You close your eyes briefly, and the space seems to hum with echoes, the shuffle of silk slippers, the faint clinking of bronze vessels, the solemn tones of ritual drums. Each sound seems to settle around you like layers of time, enfolding you in a calm that deepens with every moment. Alaric guides you toward the inner sanctum of the hall, where a great statue rests upon a stone platform. It is a towering figure of a serene deity, carved in jade and cloaked in flowing robes. Time has softened its features, yet its expression remains calm, timeless, unchanging. Offerings still rest at its feet, bowls of fruit, vases of dried lotus flowers, coins darkened by age. The sight of them feels like a reminder that even when dynasties fall, devotion lingers. People continue to come here quietly, leaving behind small tokens of reverence, weaving their presence into the fabric of the past. You stand before the statue in silence. The stillness of the hall seems to invite reflection, your own thoughts softening like the light around you. Alaric bows his head, placing his scrolls gently at his side. His voice, when it comes, is no more than a whisper. These halls are where history pauses. Empires may rise and collapse, yet the stone remains. The silence remembers. His words drift into the air and dissolve, leaving behind only the steady flicker of the oil lamps. Slowly, you continue walking, passing along the length of the hall. Your fingertips brush against the cool stone as you move, feeling the slight indentations where countless hands have done the same before you. You think of the lives that once filled this temple, scholars who debated the meaning of stars, generals who sought omens before war, servants who lit the lamps night after night. Their voices are gone, yet their presence lingers in every curve of the carvings, in every fold of the silk banners that still sway faintly from the rafters. The corridor begins to narrow as Alaric leads you toward the exit. Ahead, a pair of heavy doors carved with the image of twin dragons stands half open, and through them you glimpse the shimmer of moonlight waiting outside. You pause one last time within the hall, letting the stillness settle deep within you. It is not the emptiness of absence, but the fullness of quiet and embrace of silence that soothes and steadies the heart. When you finally step outside, the night air greets you with freshness, carrying the scent of pine and the cool touch of moonlight. Behind you, the temple halls fade into shadows, their memory glowing like embers in your mind. Ahead, the palace grounds stretch toward the river, waiting to guide you further into this ancient night. The temple doors close gently behind you, leaving their silence resting within your heart. Before you stretches a stone pathway winding through the palace grounds, bordered by whispering bamboo and the occasional lantern swaying in the night air. Alaric walks at your side, scrolls tucked beneath his arm, his steps unhurried. The world feels suspended, as though time itself is slowing to match your breath. The sound of flowing water reaches your ears before you see it. At first, it is faint, like a thread woven through the night. Then gradually it grows stronger, the soft lapping of a river brushing against its banks. You follow the sound, each step drawing you closer until the path opens into a wide terrace overlooking the water. The river lies stretched before you, broad and gleaming beneath the silver light of the moon. Its surface shimmers with ripples, each movement scattering stars reflected above. Lanterns float gently downstream, their flames flickering against the current. Tiny islands of light drifting away into the distance. Some carry small slips of paper tucked within, prayers written by quiet hands and released to the water. They bob softly, carried toward horizons unseen. Their light a fragile yet enduring promise. Alaric lowers himself onto the stone steps that lead to the riverbank and gestures for you to join him. You sit beside him, the cool stone pressing against your legs, and together you watch the endless rhythm of the water. He explains that this river has been the empire's lifeline for centuries. It carried grain from distant provinces, silk bound for the harbors, soldiers traveling to defend the borders, and scholars making pilgrimages to the capital. Its currents bound the empire together just as surely as ink binds words upon a page. As he speaks, the night seems to deepen. The moon climbs higher, its light spilling across tiled roofs, catching on the ridges of bridges, glistening on the surface of the water. You notice how the river carries not only lanterns but fragments of the world itself, a fallen petal, drifting reeds, a feather shed by a night bird. All are gathered, carried, eventually released into the vastness of the sea. The air along the river is cool and moist, carrying with it the faint fragrance of lotus blossoms that float near the banks. Their white petals glow faintly in the moonlight, like pale stars scattered across the water's surface. A breeze stirs them, setting the blossoms to rocking gently. Somewhere nearby, a frog croaks, its sound low and steady, blending seamlessly with the steady hush of the current. You and Alaric remain in quiet companionship, speaking little. There is no need for words here. The river does the speaking. Its rhythm is its own kind of lullaby, ancient and unchanging, a soft pulse that eases the mind into stillness. You feel as though you could sit here for hours, simply watching the lanterns drift further and further, until their lights fade into the horizon and become indistinguishable from the stars. Above, Alaric eventually breaks the silence, his voice hushed and thoughtful. It was along rivers like this one that merchants once carried the goods that changed the empire. Silks, porcelain, spices, and later, things more dangerous. His gaze lingers on the drifting lanterns. The water remembers everything it has carried, both blessings and burdens. It has witnessed the rise of prosperity, and it has borne away sorrow. His words fade into quiet again, leaving you to reflect on the truth of them. The river is both gentle and peaceful in its flow, yet strong enough to carry the weight of dynasties. Watching it now, you feel that power not as something threatening, but as something reassuring, a reminder that even in times of upheaval, life continues to move forward, steady as water flowing to the sea. A small boat passes slowly in the distance, its single sail catching the moonlight. You watch as it glides with the current, its reflection rippling across the water. A lantern hangs at its bow, glowing faintly. Perhaps it carries a fisherman returning home, or a pilgrim traveling by night to avoid the heat of day. Whoever they are, they too are part of this endless current, moving quietly along the same river that has carried countless souls before. The stillness of the night deepens. Above, the stars scatter in glittering abundance, their reflections trembling faintly on the water below. You lean back against the stone step, letting your gaze drift upward into that vastness. The sky feels endless, yet also intimate, as though it bends gently over you like a protective dome. Alaric looks upward too, and for a while neither of you speak, simply breathing in rhythm with the world around you. A story comes softly from him at last, told not in the tone of a lesson, but like a memory passed on gently. He tells you of a poet who once stood by this very river centuries ago. The poet released a lantern into the water and wrote that watching it drift was like watching the soul begin its journey, small, fragile, uncertain, yet luminous enough to find its way through darkness. The poem, Alaric says, has been remembered through the ages, but the lantern itself vanished into the sea. Both in their own way were offerings to time. The river laps against the stone where you sit, its rhythm as steady as your breathing. The night air cools further, brushing against your skin like silk. Around you, the palace grounds are quiet, the bustle of the day long dissolved into rest. It is a world reduced to water, moonlight, and the steady comfort of silence. At length, Alaric rises, gathering his scrolls once more. He does not hurry you, only waits patiently until you are ready to stand. When you do, you follow him back to the path, casting one last glance at the river. The lanterns continue their journey, glowing steadily in the dark, each one a fragment of hope carried upon the water. The path leads onward, curving gently away from the riverbank and toward the palace gardens that lie beyond. The sound of flowing water lingers behind you, fading gradually, like a song closing softly at its end. Ahead, the faint fragrance of blossoms drifts on the breeze, and the first glimmers of starlight beyond the trees invite you to walk forward into the night. Leaving the river behind, you follow Alaric along the winding stone path. The night air grows lighter, touched by the fragrance of flowers drifting from ahead. The moon sits high above, its glow softened by the delicate lace of tree branches arching over the walkway. Each step feels unhurried, measured in time with the crickets that sing softly in the underbrush. The path opens at last into the palace gardens. Even in darkness, they are breathtaking. Lanterns hang from carved wooden posts, their light muted and golden, illuminating winding trails of polished stone. Beneath them, rows of blossoms rest like sleeping faces, peonies, chrysanthemums, and night-blooming jasmine, their petals closed or half open, glowing pale under the moon. You pause to breathe it in. The fragrance is rich yet soothing, a mingling of sweetness and earth that settles gently in the chest. Alaric leads you deeper among the flowers. The gardens are arranged not for grandeur, but for harmony, each path flowing naturally into another, just as streams of water weave together to form a river. Stone bridges arch gracefully over koi ponds, their surfaces smooth and cool beneath your feet. In the ponds, fish drift lazily, their scales catching the light of lanterns like small sparks beneath the surface. Ripples spread gently as they move, fading into stillness once more. The hush of the gardens feels protective, as though the world has drawn its breath and chosen to rest. You notice how every detail has been shaped with intention, rocks arranged to mimic mountain ranges, pines leaning at delicate angles as though bowing in greeting, small pavilions placed so that one might sit and watch the sky. These spaces, Alaric explains in a whisper, were designed for emperors and scholars to find stillness, to practice poetry, meditation, or simply to reflect. A pavilion waits at the heart of the garden, its roof curved like the wings of a bird about to take flight. You and Alaric ascend its short steps and settle upon a bench carved smooth with time. From here, the view opens wide. The river you left behind gleams faintly in the distance. Beyond it, the city spreads in dim outlines, rooftops like folded shadows under the moon. And above, the sky is alive with stars. The longer you gaze, the more they appear tiny sparks at first, then clusters, then sweeping trails stretching across the heavens. The Milky Way arches overhead, a luminous river mirroring the one below. The stars seem to breathe in their own rhythm, shimmering gently. As if they too are alive. Alaric speaks softly, his voice barely louder than the rustle of leaves. The ancients believed the stars were lanterns hung in the heavens by spirits of the past. Each one carried the memory of a soul, watching, guiding, keeping the balance of heaven and earth. He gestures toward a particularly bright cluster. That one was said to guard travelers, another to protect harvests. People found comfort knowing the heavens looked back at them, steady and eternal. You lean against the pavilion's wooden frame, letting your body sink into its support. The stories mingle with the soft night air, with the scent of jasmine, with the rhythm of your breathing. It becomes difficult to tell where the garden ends and the sky begins, as though the two have woven themselves together into a single tapestry of peace. Somewhere nearby, a night bird calls, its tone low and haunting, carried on the wind. The koi stir again in the pond below, their ripples reflecting the scattered starlight. You notice how everything, the garden, the water, the stars, even the silence itself, feels carefully balanced, each part resting where it belongs. It is harmony not as an idea, but as an experience. Unfolding quietly all around you, Alaric pulls a small scroll from his sleeve, unrolling it in the pale light. He does not read it aloud at first, only lets his eyes travel over the ink. Then, in a whisper, he begins. It is a poem from centuries past, written by a court poet who once walked these same gardens. The verses speak of starlight resting upon blossoms, of water carrying reflections that never break, of a heart eased into calm simply by sitting beneath the night. The words are simple, yet in Alaric's voice they feel alive, as though you are hearing them for the very first time. When he finishes, he carefully rolls the scroll closed again and tucks it away. Silence returns. Not an empty silence, but one rich with presence, the kind of stillness that holds you in its arms. You breathe deeply, your body heavier now, the world soft around its edges. Alaric turns his gaze upward once more. The empire rises and it falls. He says, voice slow, almost like a thought spoken to himself. But the stars remain. Gardens like these are planted and replanted, burned and rebuilt. Still, the night sky remains unchanged, a reminder that beyond the turmoil of men, there is something eternal. You follow his gaze. The stars do seem eternal, timeless in their silent watch. Perhaps people centuries before sat here as you do now, watching the same constellations, breathing the same fragrant night air. Perhaps centuries to come, others will do the same. For a moment, time folds in on itself, past, present, and future, joined by a single shared sky. A breeze stirs again, cool against your face. Petals fall gently from a nearby branch, drifting down like fragments of snow. They land softly on the water of the pond below, floating briefly before dissolving into its surface. Watching them, you feel the deep comfort of impermanence, the knowledge that all things change. And yet, in their changing, they remain part of a greater whole. You and Alaric remain in the pavilion until words are no longer necessary, until the stillness of the garden has entered fully into your body. At last, he rises, motioning gently for you to follow. Together, you step back into the paths of the garden, moving slowly, without hurry. The fragrance of jasmine lingers behind you, while ahead, the starlit path leads deeper into the night. The palace itself is quiet now, its walls blending into the shadows. You feel yourself part of that quiet, moving as silently as the koi beneath the pond, as softly as the lantern light fading into the dark. The night holds you, patient and kind, guiding you onward into rest. The night deepens. You walk once more beneath the sky, but now the stars seem brighter, sharper, as though they have drawn closer. The palace gardens behind you fade into silence, their blossoms resting, their lanterns dimming. Ahead, the path carries you to a quieter place, still not a physical space, but something softer, deeper, a space of reflection. Here, the air itself feels older, heavy with memory. You pause and listen, and in that stillness you sense the presence of time. It stretches backward, unrolling behind you like a painted scroll. You see images in your mind, faint as shadows, bustling streets filled with merchants and laughter, children chasing each other with lanterns in hand, the clang of bells from distant towers, though all is quiet now. You realize these streets once pulsed with life. Beneath this same starlit sky, countless souls live their days waking at dawn, laboring, loving, hoping, and eventually fading. The empire they built rose high, grand as the palaces that still stand. And yet, like all things, it passed into silence. You breathe slowly, deeply, and the realization brings not sorrow, but calm. For there is beauty in impermanence. Every moment, whether in an empire's golden age or in the quiet of your own life, shines briefly, then gives way to the next. Like the petals falling from the jasmine tree, like ripples fading on the koi pond, each moment is precious, and none are wasted. Alaric, the scribe, walks beside you still, though he says little now. His presence is not of words, but of companionship, steady as the stars. You sense that he, too, carries this awareness of history's rise and fall. His hands, once filled with scrolls and ink, are now at his sides, open and empty, as though even his task of recording is complete. You both stand at the edge of the city's memory. Before you, an avenue stretches, lined with quiet buildings. In your mind's eye, you see them as they once were. Their roofs now shadowed, once gleamed with paint and tile. Their doors, now still, once swung open with the coming and going of neighbors, travelers, officials. Candles once burned in their windows, carrying warmth into the streets. The avenue itself once sang with voices. The clip of horses' hooves echoed here, merchants called their wares, and storytellers recited tales to small circles of listeners gathered under the lamplight. All of it vivid, really yet all of it gone now, leaving only the whisper of memory, and yet, you realize, it is not truly gone. For you carry it with you now. By remembering, by imagining, by walking through this stillness with open eyes, you honor those who once lived. Their footsteps echo faintly beneath your own, guiding you forward. You close your eyes for a moment, allowing the sounds of the past to mingle with the silence of the present. You imagine the laughter of a child carried on the wind, the distant cry of a vendor announcing fresh fruit, the soft tones of a musician playing a zither beneath the moon. Slowly, the sounds fade again, slipping back into silence. The night embraces you more fully. The stars are endless above, infinite in their patience. And in their presence, you feel smaller, yet also part of something vast. The empire may have fallen, but the starlight that watched over it still shines. It shines on you now, just as it will shine on others in centuries to come. You take a long, slow breath. The weight of history does not press down on you, it rocks you gently, like waves against a shore, reminding you that you belong to a greater rhythm, a story far larger than yourself. It is the story of rise and fall, of bloom and fading, of silence and renewal. And within it, you are safe, carried, cradled by time. Alaric looks at you, and though his lips do not move, you hear his voice in your mind. What is remembered never truly disappears. What is cherished never fully lost. His figure begins to soften now, dissolving like mist in the first light of dawn. You do not feel alarm. Instead, there is only gratitude for his guidance, for the story, for the journey. When you look again, the avenue has softened too. The details blur, edges fading, until the city becomes dreamlike, as though slipping back into the realm of memory where it belongs. Only the starlit sky remains sharp, steady, unchanging. You walk onward. Though each step feels slower, heavier, as though your body itself is preparing to rest. And perhaps it is. The story is winding down. Like the final notes of a song that lingered gently in the air before vanishing. The night has deepened. And with it, so too has your calm. You feel your breath steady, your eyelids heavy. The reflections of history, the whispers of empire. All have brought you here not to noise or confusion, but to peace. And so you let the silence guide you. You let the stars cradle you. You let the memory of what was remind you of what is eternal, the stillness of this moment. The breath moving softly in and out, the quiet beating of your heart. The avenue stretches onward, but now it feels less like stone and more like dream. You walk slowly, almost floating, as though each step carries you deeper into memory rather than through any real city. The silence here is not empty. It hums with what once was. You turn a corner, and before you rises a market square. By day, this place would once have been alive with motion stalls overflowing with silks, spices, porcelain, and jade. The air would have been rich with scents, roasted chestnuts, tea leaves, sandalwood incense drifting from a nearby shrine. Voices would have mingled, sharp with bargaining, warm with laughter, patient with storytelling. Now the market is still. The stalls are only shadows, the tables bare. The air carries only the faintest hint of what it once held, like the memory of perfume long faded from a scarf. You walk between the ghostly stalls, and as you move, you hear echoes, a woman calling out the virtues of her fabrics, a child tugging at his father's sleeve, begging for candied fruit. The clatter of coins in a wooden tray. A flute played lazily in the afternoon sun. Each sound rises faintly, then fades, leaving only silence once more. It is not frightening. It is not lonely. It is peaceful, like remembering a dream after waking. Knowing it has passed, but still cherishing its sweetness, Alaric is no longer at your side. Yet you feel he lingers nearby, his presence woven into the air itself. Perhaps he has become one with the story he carried, one with the city that shaped him. You do not need to see him now. His companionship lives on in the memory he left behind. You pause at the center of the square. A fountain once stood here, its waters clear, its edge cool stone where children sat and splashed their hands. You picture it as it must have been, water catching the sunlight, tossing sparks of light across faces. A place where weary travelers quenched their thirst and where young lovers met in secret at twilight. Now the fountain is dry. Its basin is cracked, the stone worn with time. And yet, when you close your eyes, you can still hear the laughter, the splash of water, the whispers of those long gone. They are here only as echoes, but they are enough. Enough to remind you that every life, no matter how small, once shone like a star against the sky. You open your eyes and lift your gaze upward. The stars shimmer, patient, unchanging. They watched this fountain fill and empty, watched these markets rise and fade, watched emperors rule and fall. They are still here long after. They are here for you now. You begin to walk again, slowly, letting each step guide you deeper into calm. Your mind drifts to stories of travelers who once walked these very roads, merchants arriving from distant lands with their cargo of opium, silk, or porcelain. Some came seeking fortune, some came driven by need, others simply by the call of the unknown. Imagine their weary steps, their voices raised in a language not their own, their wonder at the vastness of this empire. For them, too, the city was overwhelming, glittering, alive. And for them, too. Time carried all of it away. You feel the weight of centuries pressing gently around you, not as a burden, but as a blanket. History itself seems to wrap you close, soothing, cradling. The voices of the past quiet your own thoughts. until all that remains is breath. Slow in, slow out. You walk down another narrow lane. Lanterns hang from wooden posts, though they no longer burn. Their frames sway slightly in the night air, their faded silk whispering. Once they glowed warm and golden, lighting the steps of countless passers-by. Now they are only memories of light, but you imagine them still. You see the glow. You see the silhouettes of families returning home after a long day. You see a scholar with ink-stained fingers clutching his scrolls. You see an elderly woman pausing to adjust her basket of herbs. All of them gone, yet all of them alive again in your mind. As you walk, the lane narrows until it becomes more dream than street. The edges blur. The lanterns fade. Even the ground beneath your feet feels soft, as though it too is dissolving into memory. And you realize you are not meant to hold on to these images. They are not for clinging. They are for letting go. The past is a river, always moving, always slipping away, yet always feeding into the great sea of memory. So you breathe in slowly, deeply. You breathe out slowly, deeply. And with each breath, the images soften further until they drift away like mist and moonlight. You are left with stillness, with the night sky, with the sound of your own calm, steady breath. The journey through history has become less about sights and sounds and more about rest, about peace. You no longer seek the city's details. You no longer chase its echoes. Instead, you let them come and go, rise and fade, like the gentle rhythm of waves. For though the streets may be silent now, they once carried laughter. They once carried life. And in remembering, you have honored them. Now, you can let them rest. The streets grow narrower until they fade entirely, dissolving into shadow and quiet. Ahead, you see the city gates, tall and watchful, their wood dark with age, their iron fittings cool beneath the starlight. Once these gates opened to caravans laden with silk, porcelain, and later, tragically, opium. They saw armies march, emissaries bow, and peasants hurry through with bundles of rice or firewood. Now the gates stand still. The world beyond them waits in silence. You walk toward them slowly, feeling the weight of history in every step. For centuries, these walls held the city safe, but tonight they are no barrier. Tonight they are a threshold into peace. As you pass beneath the great archway, you emerge into the countryside and the air changes. It is cooler, freer, touched by the faint scent of river reeds and night-blooming flowers. The silence here is wide and generous, no longer filled with echoes, but with pure space. You breathe it in deeply, letting it calm you further. Ahead lies the river. Its surface gleams under the stars, a silver path winding into the distance. The current moves slowly, carrying the reflections of constellations along its surface. You walk to the water's edge and pause. The soft rush of water against the banks fills the night like a lullaby. For a moment, you stand still, listening. The river whispers its endless story. It has flowed long before the empire rose, long before the opium trade began, long before any walls were built. It has carried fishermen, poets, merchants, and dreamers. It has carried sorrow and joy alike, yet it continues on patient, eternal. You kneel near the bank, brushing your fingers lightly over the cool grass. You can almost imagine Alaric here, unrolling a scroll, dipping his brush into ink, writing by the soft glow of a lantern. Perhaps he, too, once came here at night, seeking solace in the steady murmur of the water. You feel his spirit in the quiet, not as a companion now, but as part of the stillness itself. The stars above are brilliant, scattered like jewels across the velvet of the night. The same stars that once looked down on emperors and laborers, on battles and feasts, now shine calmly upon you. They remind you how fleeting every moment is, and yet how each moment joins a chain that stretches across time. You are a link in that chain. The city was one, too. The river flows through it all. You breathe in deeply, letting the cool night air fill your chest. You breathe out, letting your body sink heavier, more relaxed. Each breath carries you further into stillness. As though you are floating with the river itself, you imagine what this riverside must have been in ages past. Fishermen casting their nets at dawn, their voices low and steady. Children skipping stones across the water, laughing as they counted the skips. Scholars pausing here after long journeys, composing verses under the stars. And, in later times, perhaps even foreign merchants pausing by these same banks, marveling at a land so vast, so full of wonders, all of them gone now. Yet their presence lingers, soft as ripples across water. Each memory rises, then fades, just as the river's waves rise and fade endlessly. Peacefully, you sit at the water's edge, letting your mind grow quieter. The night deepens. The stars seem to draw closer, their light brighter, steadier. You feel almost as though the universe itself is leaning down to cradle you, whispering that you are safe, that you can rest. Time softens here. The centuries blend. The rise and fall of dynasties, the weight of wars. Even the sorrow of the opium trade, all of it feels far away. Softened by distance, by the flowing water. By the endless sky, you are no longer only a traveler in history. You are part of its gentle rhythm. Each breath you take is part of the same rhythm that once guided the fisherman's cast, the scholar's verse, the merchant's step. You are joined to them by stillness, by night, by the stars. Slowly, you lie back on the soft grass. The earth is cool beneath you, the heavens vast above. The river murmurs nearby, constant and soothing. Your eyes grow heavy, not with exhaustion, but with peace. The city is behind you now, its echoes fading into memory. Before you lies only the calm, unbroken flow of time. And here, in this moment, under the watch of stars that have seen it all, you rest. The river continues its quiet song beside you, each ripple like a soft note in a lullaby without end. The city is far behind now, its walls and towers nothing more than faint shadows in memory. You are no longer bound by its streets, no longer held by its history. You have stepped beyond the weight of empire, beyond the stories of trade and conflict. Now there is only night and the gentle expanse of the sky. Above you, the stars shine with a steady brilliance. They are scattered across the heavens like brushstrokes on an infinite canvas, as if some great painter once leaned down and adorned the sky. These are the same stars that once guided sailors across oceans, that once gave comfort to soldiers resting far from home, that once inspired poets to speak of eternity. They have seen dynasties rise and crumble, yet they remain unchanged, eternal in their quiet glow. As you gaze upward, your mind grows lighter. Thoughts no longer cling as they once did. History itself begins to loosen its hold, fading like smoke in the cool night air. The emperors, the scholars, the merchants, even the voices of resistance, all of them drift softly away, carried like petals on a stream. What remains is stillness. What remains is peace. You notice your breath again, steady and slow. Inhale, a quiet fullness, cool and calming. Exhale, a gentle release, your body sinking deeper into rest. Each breath is like the turning of time itself, simple, eternal, effortless. You are no longer watching the river, flowing, steady, unhurried. The grass beneath you supports your body fully. You feel its coolness through your clothing, grounding you. The earth itself feels like a bed prepared just for you, holding you without demand. You are safe here. You are welcome here. The night has made a place for you, and it asks nothing in return. For a moment, you close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, you still see the stars, as if their light has imprinted itself gently into your mind. They glow within you, just as they glow above. Slowly, you drift between the two, between sky and self, between history and dream. You think of the empire once more, but only faintly. You recall the palaces, the gardens, the bustling markets, the sound of ships moving through the harbor. Yet now these images are soft, almost transparent. They no longer feel solid. They feel like the edges of a dream already fading. And that is how they are meant to be remembered, not with weight, not with sorrow, but with gentleness. For every empire, no matter how powerful, is but a dream in the long flow of time, and you too are part of that dream. Your presence here tonight, resting beneath the stars, breathing with the earth, is woven into the same timeless fabric. The story of the world is vast, but your place within it is simple, quiet, and complete. The river murmurs again, and it seems to echo your own breath. Its rhythm is your rhythm now. The stars above seem to lean closer, as if they are watching over you. The grass cradles you, and the night enfolds you. All things conspire to bring you peace. You imagine yourself rising slowly, not in body, but in spirit, drifting upward into the starlight, lighter than air. The river still flows, the earth still rests, but you are lifted gently, carried into the great expanse above. The stars welcome you. They surround you. You are no longer looking at history. You are part of the vast silence that holds it all here. There are no walls, no empires, no struggles. Only the soft hum of the universe, eternal and serene. You float there, weightless, timeless, untroubled. And as you float, the boundaries of thought soften further. Words grow slower, gentler, until even they begin to dissolve. There is no need to hold on. The journey has been made. The story has been told. Now it is time to rest. Breathe in, deeply, slowly. Breathe out, completely, peacefully. The stars shine. The river flows. The night embraces you, and you, dear traveler, drift into sleep. The journey is complete now. The city, the palace, the river, and the starlit sky all fade gently into the background of your mind. They are still there, like soft shadows, but they no longer call for your attention. They rest quietly, waiting as you turn inward. You are safe. You are at peace. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The story of history has ended for tonight. Now begins the story of your rest. A story written not in words or scrolls, but in the steady rhythm of your breath, the quiet beating of your heart, and the calm drifting of your thoughts as they dissolve into sleep. Breathe slowly, in and out, in and out. Each breath a wave rolling gently onto a shore with no noise, no people, no struggle, only silence. Only peace. The world around you is quiet. The bed beneath you supports you completely. Like the cool grass of the riverbank in memory, or the soft stones of a quiet palace garden. You do not need to move. You do not need to think. Every part of you is allowed to rest. Feel your body growing heavier with each exhale. Your arms, resting softly, no longer need to hold anything. Your legs, supported fully, no longer need to walk. Your chest rises and falls effortlessly, carrying you deeper into calm. The mind is like the river now, flowing slowly, carrying thoughts away. Each thought is a leaf set gently on the surface, drifting downstream until it is gone from view. You do not need to chase them. You do not need to hold them. Let them drift. Let them fade. With every moment, you are lighter. With every moment, you are calmer. The story, the history, the journey, all of it has guided you here. To this quiet stillness, the stars are no longer above you. They are within you. Tiny points of calm light scattered across the quiet field of your mind. They shine softly, gently, without needing your attention. They glow simply because you are resting. And now you drift even deeper. deeper into stillness, deeper into calm. If your mind lingers on thoughts of the past, let them become softer. If it holds on to images of the future, let them blur and fade. You are not in the past. You are not in the future. You are here, in this moment, in this breath, in and out. In and out like waves, like wind. Like the slow turning of time itself, the story is finished and you are free. Free to sink, free to rest. Free to dream. Your eyelids grow heavier, even if they are already closed. Your body sinks further, even if it is already still. Your thoughts grow slower, even if they are already quiet. You are drifting between waking and dreaming, and soon, sleep will welcome you fully. Let yourself float now, as though you are resting on the calmest of seas. The waves rise gently, carrying you up. The waves fall gently, carrying you down. Always safe, always steady, always calm. The night wraps around you like a soft blanket. The stars keep their quiet watch. The earth beneath holds you securely. You are at home here. You are safe here. There is nothing more you need to do. Nothing more you need to think. Nothing more you need to be. You are enough simply by resting. Let the last fragments of thought dissolve. Let the final traces of wakefulness soften. The river of sleep carries you now, and as you drift deeper, let these words become quieter, softer, more distant. Let them blend with the rhythm of your breath, until they are no longer words at a lonely calm, only silence. The journey is complete. The city fades into dreams. You are safe and you are at peace. Sleep now. Rest now, dream now. All is well. All is calm. All is quiet. Pause, slower pacing, nearly whisper-like repetition. Sleep. Sleep, sleep. Good night, dear traveler, and if this journey brought you peace, if it carried you gently toward rest, remember, there are more journeys waiting. More stories of history, told in whispers, told in calm. You can return anytime. You need only close your eyes, take a breath, and drift once again. For now, the story is over. For now, your rest begins. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. Sleep well. Fade into silence.